Arise, shine, for that light has come. The glory of Yah has risen up on his sons and his daughters. The darkness is uncovered. Pull sheets of our lovers were perverted till we burn. So now it's time to return back to Yah, our city of refuge. The fountains of living waters. This showers me with righteousness, restores my order, and turns this pawn to a king. A song for my soul to sing that brought me down very low. My garments white like the wings. YAH, praises be the Most High that brought me out of insanity, crushed the towers of vanity, and made a man of me. I'm now asking for a key, no longer my refugee. I'm now Yah's planet. See,
we gon' march to the city of God. We gon' dance, we gon' sing, we gon' run to the city, we gon' fly to the city of God. We gon' march in the city of God. We gon' dance, we gon' sing, we gon' run to the city, run to the city.
1,000 meters were measure, waters came to your ankles. The method did repeat, waters came right to your knee. Before you furthered your goings, waters came to your loins. 1,000 measures and the last, a river you could not pass. Everything that touched the waters was healed. Plenty of fish left to swim. There was meat from the trees, nourished the bodies from leaves. The vision I seen was more than a dream. Waters flow on sides of sanctuary. My heart had joy and merit. I'm renovating my soul until we make it home. Foolish sins forever gone. Your spirit resting on my bones. Brothers and sisters, you with me? Let's purge ourselves really quickly. Make our souls polished and spiffy. So we gone.
We gon' march to the city of God. We gon' dance, we gon' sing, we gon' run to the city, we gon' fly to the city of God. We gon' march to the city of God. We gon' dance, we gon' sing, we gon' run to the city, of God.
Praises to the Most High for getting me out, for blessing me with understanding of what you talking about. My sins are too many, I thought another God could save. To you will woke me from a slumber, pull me right from my grave. And now that I'm saved, I'm blessed to know or understand truth, that no blessing, the curse is coming, least is coming through you. I sing praises to my Yah, to my very last breath, and use your laws as a ladder if I ever misstep. Let's praise the Most High, Yah, pay his holy name. Regard, we have come a long way, yet we got so far before we right before our King. All of this ain't seen till we the sons of righteousness, with healings up in our wings. We gon'
fly to the city of God. We gon' march to the city of God. We gon' dance, we gon' sing, we gon' run to the city, we gon' fly to the city of God. We gon' march to the city of God. We gon' dance, we gon' sing, we gon' run to the city, of God.
I wanna go, I wanna go, I wanna go, I wanna go, I wanna go home, I wanna go home. Wicked, I won't get down, wicked, I won't get down now. I wanna go, I wanna go, I wanna go, I wanna go. I wanna go home, I wanna go home. Wicked, I won't get down, wicked, I won't get down now. I wanna go, I wanna go, I wanna go, I wanna go, I wanna go home, I wanna go home. Wicked, I won't get down, wicked, I won't get down now. I wanna go, I wanna go, I wanna go, I wanna go, yeah, I wanna go home, I wanna go home, I wanna go home. So
Hallelujah. All praises, all glory, and all honor unto the mighty Elohim, the King of Kings, Yahweh, the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. And welcome to another broadcast of Nothing But the Truth. I am your host tonight, Mowreh IshYAH, Yisrael. YISraEL, here to bring you nothing but the truth. And we're coming to you live from the House of Israel of Cincinnati, located at 1907 Vine Street, here to bring you nothing but the truth. We'd like to say shalom to all our listening audience, for we know that the only reason that you are tuning into us tonight is because of your great fear and love towards the mighty Elohim, Yahweh. And it is a great honor and a great blessing to be able to bring you the word of Yah, to be able to magnify and uplift the mighty Yah's name. And we're going to discuss a very relevant topic tonight, and that is Black History Month. Since we're in Black History Month, according to the nations, February on the Gregorian calendar is set aside for Black History Month. And if you are unaware of the history of Black History Month, then it started years ago. A man wrote a book which was called The Miseducation of the Negro. His name was Carter G. Woodson. He started to have an event called Black History Week. And they expanded this Black History Week into Black History Month. And of course, the heathens, the ones that go by the Gregorian calendar, gave the shortest month on their calendar to black people. And there's a problem with that in itself, that they have a month that's shorter than other months. February, 28 days, except on the leap year, it's 29. Still the shortest month. The only month on the Gregorian calendar that has less than 30 days. And many of our people revel in this month, and they want this month to be filled with Black history. All up and down your media, social media streams is little known Black history facts. You go to the video stores and you can get inexpensive movies made by black filmmakers about African Americans. You go into some schools, they'll have Black history events. A lot of schools are now pushing back their Black history events to happen in April because they want the students to be ready for their tests. So they don't have Black history programs in some schools. Some schools, they have a lot of Black history programs. In every school, teaching the children about Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and Frederick Douglass and Harriet Tubman and Barack Obama and Michelle Obama. And that's your Black History Month. But Yahweh said that it is time to set the crooked things straight. And it is time that we straighten out this fantastical Black History Month, which has now became the time in which you get to go see Black Panther free for a week, because that's now Black history. But Yahweh wants the crooked things made straight. So who is the one who can even dictate to let us understand about Black history? And what is history? History, according to the definition from your dictionaries, is a record of past events and times. And a lot of times you've learned in the institutions that your oppressors built and sent you to and allowed you to go to and provided the curriculum for, a lot of times you've learned that anything before the Grecians started recording history is called prehistory. Yes, the fourth beast is the one who determines when history began in their world, in their mind. Yet, Yah told you what went on before this fourth beast and what goes on after. But nevertheless, a lot of your history, a great deal of the history that you've learned, is predicated on the philosophical or the ideological fact that history only has been recorded starting with the Greeks. That's why ancient history in your schools start with the Greeks. Philosophy and sociology and all these theologies, they are Greek words and Greek names to Greek people with Greek culture and Greek social constructs. They tell you that the Egyptians were a great nation, but their history was written on walls and not in books. Well, of course they could tell you that this great black nation wrote their history on walls and not books because they burnt down the library and stole all the books. But Yah, his word is complete. And Yah lets you know who even made time, if you want to talk about history, about recorded events and times, then who even made time? Who made time? Well, if you go to the book of Genesis, the first chapter, the 14th verse, it reads, "And Elohim said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years." Yahweh made time. Yahweh created the whole construct in which any person would ever use to even record time. You can't record time if it wasn't for the Almighty giving you the tools to know time. Yah made the day. As it says in Genesis, the first chapter, the first verse, "In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of Elohim moved upon the face of the waters. And Elohim said, let there be light. And there was light. And Elohim saw the light, that it was good. And Elohim separated the light from the darkness. And Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night." So you see, the Most High made time. He made day. He made night. Look at the book of Psalms 137. And why don't you learn this at the Black History conventions, at the Black History rallies, at the Black History Month programs in the schools of your children, at the Black History programs in the universities, at your Black History think tanks, in your Black History social media? Why aren't you learning? And why isn't anybody posting this little known Black History fact that Yahweh, a black Elohim, the black Elohim, a black God, a black supreme being, made time, made the day. And in Psalms 136, verse 5, it says, well, let's start at verse 3. Oh, give thanks to Yahweh, to the Master of masters, for his mercy endure forever. To him alone that doeth great wonders, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that by wisdom made the heavens, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that stretched out the earth above the waters, for his mercy endureth forever. To him that made great lights, for his mercy endureth forever. The sun to rule by day, for his mercy endureth forever. The moon and the stars to rule by night, for his mercy endureth forever. Hallelujah. You see, the Most High, he made day, he made night, he made the sun, he made the moon, and he made the stars. Therefore, we can't discuss black history or any history without discussing Yahweh. Yet, Black History Month, you ain't learned that. In all the years, there's been a Black History program. Yah made time. And since Yah made time, how can we only have 28 days to celebrate Black history? That's preposterous. And it took them 400 years to give you a year to commemorate your Black history in this country. And you would think that they would want to, and they is the United States, because the United States enacted a law. The United States drafted a bill. The United States signed into law that 2019 will commemorate 400 years of Africans in America. And for this commemoration, it will begin in 2019, but in July of 2019. And for this effort of commemoration that will end in July of 2020, it has opened up the avenue for organizations, churches, federations, and things in that manner to apply for grants, to put on programs, for schools to implement educational programs to teach about the 400 years of Black people in America. And it took them 400 years to make a law for you to even be recognized that you've been here for 400 years. But who made time? Yah made time. And how are you going to get 28 days in a month for this time? And that's not even a month. 28 days is nowhere near a month. Therefore, they've given you a false time. But because Yah is the King of the heavens and earth, and he ruleth in the kingdom of men, you now have the ability to learn the truth that Yah is the maker of this time. He made the sun. He made the moon. And since that is the case, you don't have to be boxed in 28 days for Black history. But nevertheless, because it is Black History Month, and we're going to discuss Black history, the first people were black. And where do you learn that at? You see, in your institutions that you've been awarded degrees from, that you've been given accolades from, these institutions have taught us that the first human, or hominids, as they call them, the first Homo sapien descendants, or ancestors of Homo sapiens, as they say, which they called hominids, came from Africa. They placed these so-called hominids in Africa. And this is the credit they give to your ancestors and their pioneering the human race. They say, yes, we'll give you the honor to let you know that you were the first people. But then they wipe away all that honor by calling your great first father, your great first mother, who they named Lucy. And there's some trickery behind that too. That these people weren't even actually a people. They were I don't want to say monkeys. I mean, even though they were monkeys, but they were apes. They were of the gorilla ape family. Chimpanzees. How racist can you be? To say that the first black people were apes. And our people have taken this pseudoscience and have tried to teach our own people that the first people were apes. And we evolved from the monkey, or we evolved from the ape and became great in Africa. Yet the heathen where you learn this from will tell you that the first modern Cro-Magnon man developed in Europe, which is a lie. Let me show you what Yahweh said, the first human. And Yah didn't call him a human, even though the word human in its originality is nearly the same thing as Adam. Adam means man of the earth, or earth man, where human also means a man of the soil. Nevertheless, the first person Yah made in Genesis 1:26 says, and Elohim said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So Elohim created man in his own image. In the image of Elohim created he him. Male and female created he them. Now, does Yahweh look like a monkey? Is Yahweh King Kong? Is Yahweh an ape? Of course not. And you cannot ever adhere to a teaching that would place the first man as a chimpanzee. Yahweh is no chimpanzee. So if somebody tries to tell you that the first man or woman was a chimpanzee, they're greatly dishonoring the image of your Elohim. We are in the image of Yah. And as I said, Yah is a black man. And he's more than a man, but Yah is, our image is as Yah is. And we are black people, dark-hued people. Go to the book of Daniel, the 7th chapter. And we got to set these things real straight today. You've heard this. You might have seen this. But this is the only place you're going to see true black history in the Holy Scriptures. You're not going to go to your institutions on Monday and they'll be teaching black history and they'll tell you that the first people were made in this image. And Daniel seen the Creator. And this is what Daniel saw. In Daniel, the 7th chapter, the 9th verse, it reads, I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit. Now, if he's the Ancient of Days, how are you going to discuss history without discussing Yah? He is the Ancient of Days. The Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. Now, who has woolly hair? It surely ain't Cro-Magnon man. It surely ain't a chimpanzee. It surely is not a Neanderthal. Those are the people that have woolly hair. Yahweh said his hair was as the pure wool. And how is your hair, Israel? As the wool. They're not going to teach you this in the institutions. It's not a little known history fact that Yah is black. You're not seeing that on the TV. They're not giving you free YouTube subscriptions to listen to the House of Israel teach about Yah in the times of the Almighty. But you got to get some things straight. Yah made day. Yah made night. Yah made time. Yah is the Ancient of Days. And the first people that Yah made are black people. And we got hair like him because we are made in his image. And there's no chimpanzee that look like Yah. Yah said, don't make no graven image of anything that in the heaven above or the earth beneath or the waters under the earth. That means you don't look at no chimpanzee and say that's what the Creator looked like. But nevertheless, Yah said, let us make man in our image. Who's this us? Who's this our? Well, I'll show you. Who did he make before man? Who's a little bit higher than man? Angels are. You think he's going to make angels after he makes man? And it's already been written in Yah's holy scriptures in Psalms 8 that he has made angels a little bit higher. He has made man a little bit lower than the angels. Well, if we're a little bit lower than the angels, then we were made after them. Let us make man in our own image. The angels are Yahweh's servants. And Yahweh made these angels. And who do these angels look like? Undoubtedly, they look like Yahweh. And who do we look like? Yahweh and his angels. Because all these beings are made in Yah's image. And let me show you what an angel was described to look like. In Daniel, the 10th chapter, the 5th verse, it reads, Then I lifted up mine eyes and looked and beheld a certain man clothed in linen, whose loins were girded with fine gold of Uphaz. His body was like the beryl, and his face as the appearance of lightning, and his eyes as lamps of fire. If you didn't know that this wasn't no common man by now, because I don't know who go around looking this bright, looking this fierce, and you just say, oh, that's just a regular guy. And his arms and his feet were like in the color of polished brass, and the voice of his words like the voice of a multitude. Who has skin in the color of polished brass? And your older scriptures will say burnt brass or burnished brass. Whose skin looks like this? Whose arms and whose feet look like that? Burnished brass? What color is brass? Brown, dark copper rich, goldenish brown? And what does it mean when it's burnished or polished? It's extra dark and shiny. Yes, these are the images of Yah's holy ones. And this is what you look like. But this ain't up and down your social media streams as 365 Black and a little known Black history fact. This is the truth of Black history. Because it is Black History Month. And how can you discuss Black History Month without talking about Yahweh? He made time. Yahweh made the first people black. Yahweh's angels are black. And all historical events, what is history? Recorded events of the past and recorded times. Well, what are these times based off of? Well, of course, time today has been taught in a crooked way. Isaiah, the 29th chapter, already lets us know. In the 13th verse, it says, wherefore Yahweh has said, for as much as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips to honor me, but they have removed their heart far from me, and their fear toward me is taught by the precept of men. Yeah, precepts of men, man's precepts is what time has been taught to us now. By precepts of man. For the simple fact that they call February 28 days in a month. That's a precept of man. 31 days in a month. That's a precept of man. 29 days in a month. That's a precept of man. 13 months in a year. That's a precept of man. Every 4 years is a leap year. That's a precept of man. Every second, 5th, 7th, 9th, 12th, 14th, 17th, and 19th year in the Jewish calendar is a leap year. That's a precept of man. 365 days in a year. That's a precept of man. And time cannot be accurately analyzed, studied, and understood with those measurements. Look what the Most High said. And did you not know that those were measurements? These are measurements. And how can you have a world function filled with people when everybody has a different measuring system? Things aren't accurate. The ancient so-called Mayans have a different time system than the Europeans. The Vikings have a different time system than the British. The Italians have a different time system than the Greeks. The Turkish have a different time system than the Moroccans. And so on and so forth. You have the Gregorian calendar. You have the Chinese calendar. But who's talking about Yahweh's calendar? And Yahweh is the one that made time. Look in the book of Deuteronomy, the 32nd chapter. Verse 4, which says, He, talking about Yahweh, the Elohim of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. He, the rock. He is the rock. His work is perfect. For all his ways are judgment. A Elohim of truth, and without iniquity, just and right is he. Talking about Yahweh's manner, how Yahweh does things, how Yahweh measures things, how Yahweh creates everything, how Yahweh operates everything. It's perfect. And it's all judgment. And it's all truth. And there is no mistakes in it. Therefore, why do you need a leap year? Don't you understand? Don't you know? Haven't you heard that leap years are included in calendar systems in order to correct the measure of time? Why would Yahweh have to build in a correction of something that's perfect? Why does the Gregorian calendar have a 4-year leap year system? Well, they have that because if they didn't put that in there, then their calendar would veer from the natural order of the seasons. Which I don't care what calendar you're going off of. When it's been cold for 4 to 5 months, you know you're in a totally different season than what you were in before when it was warm. If it's been raining for 4 or 5 months and now it's dry and it's sunny and it's warm and there's not a lot of tumultuous storms, you know you're in a different season altogether. I don't care what calendar system you're going by. You know you are in a different season. And people would realize that with these fake calendars if they didn't include a correction. So they have a leap year. In the Gregorian calendar, made a leap year in order to keep up with the times, but they only took that from the Julian calendar, which had a leap year every 4 years to keep up with the seasons, which took that from the Grecian calendar, which had a leap year to keep up with the times. And who else made a calendar with a leap year in order to stay into the seasons? Well, none other than the Jewish calendar, the calendar that a lot of our brothers and sisters are going by today. A calendar that a lot of our brothers and sisters go by today, which just told them fairly recently that there will be a 13th month this year. And why did you have to wait until now to realize that you were going to have a 13th month? You would have been known you was going to have a 13th month when you celebrated your 11th month way back in January. Early January. Letting you know you're not going to get to the spring, to the Abib, to the sprouting of a new season when it's still snow on the ground. See, they put these leap years to correct their inaccuracies, their fallacies, and then they teach you that Yahweh told us to fix the calendar as if it was already broken. That's the precepts of man. Yahweh is perfect. Why would Yahweh make an imperfect system and then give us this particular law in the book of Deuteronomy, the 18th chapter? Yahweh makes a perfect system, a complete system, a whole system, and then he tells you it's broken and you got to fix it. Yet, here's the law in Deuteronomy 18, verse 13. Thou shalt be perfect with Yahweh thy Elohim. Why would he command us to be perfect? Why would he command us to be wholehearted? Why would he command us this in the book of Deuteronomy? I believe I want the 25th chapter. Deuteronomy 25, verse 13, where it says, Thou shalt not have in your bag divers weights, a great and a small. Thou shalt not have in thine house divers measures, a great and a small. But thou shalt have a perfect and just weight, a perfect and just measure shalt thou have in thy days, that thy days may be lengthened in thy land which Yahweh thy Elohim giveth thee. For all that do such things and all that do unrighteously are an abomination unto Yahweh thy Elohim. Well, goodness gracious. That means that the Gregorian calendar is an abomination. That means that the Julian calendar is an abomination. That means that the Synodic or the Greek calendar is an abomination. Or the Jewish calendar is an abomination. Yet and still, Yah's calendar isn't. Because Yah's calendar is perfect. And if you want to talk about history, black history, your history, how are you going to talk about these events that has occurred in our times, in our lives, and you're not going to talk about them with accuracy? You're not going to talk about them with structure, with order, and giving us the right time and the right day and the right measure of when these things occurred. Your oppressors, your captors, your enemies have taught you that you came into being millions upon millions of years ago. People been here millions upon millions of years ago. Yet Yahweh has given us the book of the generations of man, and it don't go back millions upon millions of years. And they want to say that we're wrong, even though the word of the Most High is the truth. So all historical events, they got to be based on dates. They got to be recorded with dates. And these dates that your heathen oppressors have given you are false dates, are fake dates, are erroneous dates. Your own Black History Month is a fake month. There's no such thing as a February. There's no such thing as a month that's 28 days. Didn't you know Yahweh defined month in the scriptures? Yah defined month. Who's the one that made a month? Yahweh made a month. Therefore, who do you want to define the month? Webster's? Do you want Webster's to define the month? Or do you want Yahweh to define the month? Well, Yahweh defined the month. And what did Yahweh define this month as? Well, let's look what Yahweh defined a month as. It's a very common scripture that we, the teachers at the House of Israel of Cincinnati, have used to show you a month. And if you look in the book of Genesis, the 7th chapter, in the book of Genesis, the 7th chapter, if you want to know what a month is, if you want to know how long a year is, if you want to know what these things are and how long they are and what they are, according to Yahweh, then you have to look in Yah's book. And here in Genesis, the 7th chapter, in the 11th verse, it states, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. And it rained upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. So you see, in the 2nd month, which is the first time in the Holy Scriptures the word month is even mentioned. In Genesis, the 7th chapter, the 11th verse. The 2nd month. Well, what is this month? And it was the 17th day of the month. Well, when you look in the book of Genesis, the 8th chapter, the 1st verse, it says, or we can even go to Genesis, the 7th chapter, in the 23rd verse, where it says, and every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and the creeping things, and the fowl of the heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days. Chapter 8. And Elohim remembered Noah, and every living thing, and all the cattle that was with him in the ark. And Elohim made a wind to pass over the earth, and the waters assuaged. The fountains also of the deep and the windows of heaven were stopped, and the rain from heaven was restrained, and the waters returned from off the earth continually. And after the end of 150 days, the waters were abated, and the ark rested in the 7th month. On the 17th day of the month, upon the mountains of Ararat, which lets you know, when he tells you it was 150 days, and it started in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, and it ended in the 7th month, the 17th day of the month, and those together equaled 150 days. Well, what's 7 take away 2? It's 5. It's 5 months. 5 months. And if it's 150 months, 150 days between 5 months, how many days can each month be? Each month can only be 30 days. But you need more evidence to prove that a month is 30 days. In the book of Deuteronomy, the 21st chapter, the Creator described unto us a situation and gave us a law. In Deuteronomy 21 verse 13 it says, and she shall put the remnant of her captivity from her. When you have taken a woman of a foreign nation and you want her to be your wife, she has to come into your house, shave off her hair, and pare her nails. And she shall put off the raiment of her captivity, and shall remain in thy house, and bewail, which means to mourn, her father and her mother a full month. And after that thou shalt go in unto her, and be her husband, and she shall be your wife. Why? A full month. What is a full month? What is the precedent that was set for a full month? What is the standard that can show us how long this is? Because you would ask that question. Well, what is that? What's a full month? How long is that? How can we understand what that is? Has there ever been anybody else that has mourned their father and mother, mourned their ancestor, mourned their elder, mourned their parent for a full month? And if so, how long did they do that? And you shouldn't find it awkward that we want to set or see what the precedent is for this law. Don't you know that's how your court systems operate today? Just a few days ago, the king of Babylon, or as you know, is the president of the United States, decided to enact a national emergency at the southern border of the United States so he can receive the necessary funds to build a wall. And all the congressmen, all the lawmakers stood up and said this will set a precedent for future leaders, that they can set a national emergency for certain things. Well, why would that set a precedent? Because he did something according to a law. You have cases that get won or lost in the Supreme Court, and you can't go into court trying a certain case and with no precedent, and they say, what's the precedent for it? Well, what's the precedent for us to know that a month is a such amount of days? Well, it's in the book of Numbers. And in the book of Numbers, the 20th chapter, just get right to it, says in the 29th verse, and when all the congregation saw that Aaron was dead, they mourned for Aaron 30 days, even all the house of Israel, 30 days. And also with Moses, they mourned him 30 days, letting us know that's how long you mourn your elders, your great people, your parents. And how long did she mourn her father and mother? A full month. And so what we have is a month being 30 days. A month is 30 days. As a matter of fact, that's the definition of a month. That's the only evidence we have to know how long a month is. 30 days, all throughout the scriptures. Some went on for 30 days. Give it 30 days. After 30 days. 30 days here, 30 days there. These are months. Yet they'll give you a Black History Month and it's not even 30 days. They give you the short end of the stick and say, here's your history. Something that's based in a complete lie. But all of y'all's historical events have dates, and they are based on the true months. They'll tell you that these aren't the months that we talking about, yet they're the only months you can prove. They're the only times you can prove. So, if you're going to talk about Black history, then let's talk about the truth about Black history. That the only months that even have any evidence in past times and events that can be measured are the months that the Almighty made. And the months that the Almighty made is 30 days. And the Almighty himself is black. And the Almighty angels are black. And y'all people are black. Which means the children of Israel is a black nation. Be it that we're a black nation, shouldn't we be talking about the children of Israel during this Black History Month? Shouldn't Israel be learning about times, true times? But it's a great mystery to the children of Israel of their own time. Every nation marks their time, marks their generation, marks their chronology. But how and what is Israel marking? Black leaders have been talking about 400 years for 400 years. And now your own enemies who don't want you to know anything about yourself have to have to let you know it's 400 years. You coming up on 400 years. This is the commemoration of 400 years of you. They've been marking the time. Have you been marking the time? And when did this 400 years get discussed first with a black man? I want to see this up and down Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I want to hear about this little known black history fact that Abraham, a black man, undoubtedly a black man that had woolly hair, undoubtedly a black man that feared Yahweh, he was told, he was given the first recorded vision. If that's not black history, what is? Black history is that the first seer, the first prophet, the first visionary was a black man whose name is Abraham. And Yah told him the very thing that the world is talking about today. And what is that? In Genesis, the 15th chapter, the 13th verse, it reads, and Elohim said unto Abraham, and he said unto Abraham, or Abram at the time, know of a surety. What does that mean? That means it is certain that this is going to happen. Here is a certain thing, a true thing. Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. And are we not strangers in these lands? Yah said he's going to spread Yehudah to the four corners of the earth. Are we strangers here? Yes. Your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. The capital of the United States ain't named Abraham, D.C., Yosef, D.C., Yehudah, D.C. It's named Washington, D.C. It's not a land that belongs to you at all. And the so-called Native Americans, they didn't call themselves Gad or Benjamin or Yishakar. They called themselves Hopi and Blackfoot and Sycamore and Syracuse and Wyandanch and Hauppauge and Montauk, Bethpage. All these names ain't got nothing to do with YIsraEL. This ain't your land. The land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them. And are you not a servant in this land? Did you not go to work today? Did you not file your 2018 taxes? Are you not a servant today? You shall serve them and afflict them. Are we not being afflicted? Of course. And how long? 400 years. This is the first vision. This is black history. This is all we should be talking about. This black history fact. The first visionary was a black man. And what was the vision that he was received? A vision of your 400-year affliction, your 400-year servitude. If anything talking about us, it's this. But this is not what's being taught in the institutions today. This is not what's being taught in the black think tanks today. This is not what the people are talking about today in the schools and in the halls of learning. No, they want to talk about the first black billionaire. And you want to know who the first black billionaire is? Well, it was Abraham. Look in the book of Genesis, the 13th chapter. Verse 1. It says, and Abram went up out of Egypt, he and his wife, and all that he had, and Lot with him, into the south. And Abram was very rich in cattle, in silver, and in gold. Yeah. Abraham not only had pounds upon pounds of silver, he had pounds upon pounds of gold. And he had all kind of cattle. This man had 315 trained men servants in his house for battle that were born in his house. This man, when he moved, it just wasn't him and his wife and a maid and a butler and a horse and a camel. This was a whole community, and Abraham was over it all. This man was a king. He was a prince. Who was the first prince mentioned in the scriptures? Well, it was Abraham. Is this not a little known black history fact? In the book of Genesis, the 24th chapter. (23rd chapter), I'm sorry. It says in Genesis chapter 23, verse 3, after Sarah died, and Abraham stood up from before his dead, and spake unto the sons of Heth, saying, I am a stranger and a sojourner with thee. Give me a possession of a burying place with you, that I may bury my dead out of my sight. And the children of Heth answered Abraham, saying unto him, Hear us now, my master. Thou art a mighty prince among us. In the choice of our sepulchres, bury thy dead. None of us shall withhold from thee his sepulchre, but that thou mayest bury thy dead. You see, they knew who he was. They knew who this great black man was before them. A prince. Not just a prince, but a mighty prince. A mighty prince. First time you ever see a black man called a prince in these scriptures. So the first prince, the first person called a prophet, the first person given a vision, was Abraham, a black man, Yahweh's friend. And what was that vision? 400 years. And that was about you and I, about our people, the children of Israel, which lets you know Yisrael's history is holy. It's a set-apart history, a sacred history, a history that the whole world wants to be a part of but cannot have. And we don't even know about it. Don't even think about it. and don't even want it. Now, the rhetoric is 400 years don't mean us. 400 years, it's over with. I know in 2007, the talk was the United States celebrating their quadricentennial, as they call it. 400 years, because in 1607, and why are they talking about 400 years? Because they know that they are holding to this 400-year sentence. And in 2007, they were talking about America's 400-year commemoration. They had a big thing about it in Jamestown, Virginia. Queen of England came over to the United States. They called it the year of Jubilee. And what did the Queen of England do? Reclaimed this land for them again. The Jubilee is supposed to be when you go free, and somebody has to come and claim you. Well, they claim because this is the fourth beast. And they was talking about 400 years back then. And you had a bunch of brothers and sisters among the Hebrew nation saying, 400 years. Well, you know, when England came over here, there was some black people with them. So we've been here for 100 years. I knew then that wasn't right. That wasn't the time. It wasn't 400 years in 2007. Not for Israel. Yahweh didn't count according to England, according to Britain, according to the United States. Yah didn't base his account on the European. Yah based his count on what he always based his timely count on. And what's that? That's the fourth. The number 4. The fourth order. The fourth tribe. The fourth son. And Yah made Israel, and Israel's history is holy. And if you want to know who Yah is looking at, in the time of their captivity, just look for Yehudah. How long has Yehudah been in this captivity? And why do I say that? Well, look at the history of the Holy Scriptures. Look in the book of Jeremiah, the 25th chapter. And in Jeremiah chapter 25, we'll begin reading in the first verse. And incidentally, 25 is the order of 4. And here it says, the word that came to Jeremiah concerning all the people of Yehudah, Judah, in the 4th year. Why the 4th year? Of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Yehudah. That was the 1st year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. So this time is based on Yehudah. It's marking Yehudah's time, Yehudah's years, Yehudah's chronology, Yehudah's dates. And Nebuchadnezzar began reigning as king of Babylon in the 4th year of King Jehoiakim. So the way that the Almighty might say, or the way that a Hebrew might denote history now, well, yes, Since we've learned a great lesson a couple of Sabbaths ago taught by Mowreh IshYAH about the generations, and we learned that you can see Yah counts generation on one aspect of 40 years. Another one is every son is a generation. But if you want to know what the judgment of a generation is, it's 40 years. And let me show you that, just so you can understand. It's in the book of Numbers, the 32nd chapter. Hold that, Jeremiah. Look at verse 'Get the right verse. Verse 10 says in Jeremiah in Numbers 32, and Yahweh's anger was kindled the same time, and he swears, saying, surely none of the men that came up out of Egypt from 20 years old and upward shall see the land which I swore to Abraham, unto Isaac, and unto Jacob, because they have not wholly followed me, save Caleb and the son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite, and Joshua the son of Nun, for they have wholly followed after Yahweh. And that Yah's anger was kindled against Israel, and he made them to wander in the wilderness 40 years, until all that generation that had done evil in the sight of Yahweh was consumed. 40 years for that generation. And so, if you wanted to talk about this time, Yah has generations. So in the first generation of Yehudah's captivity in America, the heathen enslaved us. Started in 1619. In the second generation of our captivity, which would have been from 1659 to 1699, all the colonies had enacted chattel slavery for the children of Israel. In the third generation of our captivity, which would have been from 1699 to 1739, you had millions upon millions of Hebrews being taken over to the Americas in slave ships. It was the slave boom from 1739 to 1779, which was the fourth generation of Yehudah's captivity. United States, the strange horn, on top of that fourth beast, became an independent nation. And why in the fourth generation of our captivity? Because this is the fourth beast. And wouldn't it make sense that within the confines of four, Yah would have this fourth beast have its reign, that strange horn that will speak great words against the Most High. And back in Jeremiah 25, as we saw, said the word came to Jeremiah concerning all the people of Yehudah in the 4th year of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Yehudah. That was the 1st year of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, the which Jeremiah the prophet spake unto all the people of Yehudah and to all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, saying, from the 30th year of Josiah, the son of Ammon, king of Yehudah, even unto this day, that is the 23rd year The word of Yahweh hath come unto me, and I have spoken unto you, rising early and speaking, but ye have not hearkened. Jeremiah was letting you know, I've been speaking the word of Yah for 23 years. I started speaking the word of Yah in the 30th year of King Josiah. And 23 years later, I'm still speaking the word of Yah, rising early, coming to you. But even Jeremiah marked his time by the fourth. Who? Yehuda, the king of Yehuda. And Jeremiah said in verse 4, and Yahweh hath sent unto you all his servants the prophets, rising early and sending them. But ye have not hearkened, nor inclined your ear to hear. They said, turn ye again now, every one from his evil way, and from the evil of your doings, and dwell in the land that Yahweh hath given unto you, and unto your fathers forever and ever. And go not after the other Elohim to serve them, and to worship them, and provoke me not to anger with the works of your hands. And I will do to you no hurt. Yet ye have not hearkened unto me, saith Yahweh, that ye might provoke me to anger with the works of your hands and your own hurt. Therefore, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, because ye have not heard my words, behold, I will send and take all the families of the north, saith Yah, and Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and will bring them against thy land, and against the inhabitants thereof, and against all these nations round about will I utterly destroy them, and make them an astonishment, and a hissing, and a perpetual desolations. Moreover, I will take them from the voice of myrrh, and the voice of gladness, and the voice of the bridegroom, and the voice of the bride, the sound of the millstones, and the light of the candle. And this whole land shall be a desolation and an astonishment, and these nations shall serve the king of Babylon 70 years. And how long did Yah put Yehuda into captivity? 70 years. And how long was Babylon's reign according to Yehuda's captivity? 70 years. And when the 70 years was up, Babylon's reign was over. And you can see more evidence in 2 Chronicles. Because after Babylon and after Yehuda left Babylon, you had other nations in control. Like the Medes and the Persians, and then the Grecians. And in 2 Chronicles, and what was their reign based on? The suppression and the oppression of Israel. And in 2 Chronicles, the 35th chapter, verse, or the 36th chapter, verse 22, it says, now in the first year of Cyrus, king of Persia, that the word of Yah, spoken by the mouth of Jeremiah, might be accomplished, Yahweh stirred up the spirit of Cyrus, king of Persia, that he made a proclamation throughout all his kingdom, and put it also in writing, saying, thus saith Cyrus, king of Persia, all the kingdoms of the earth hath Yahweh Elohim of heaven given me, and he hath charged me to build him a house in Jerusalem, which is in Yehuda, who is among you of all his people. Yahweh his Elohim be with him, and let him go up. Yes, because his 70 years was accomplished. And Cyrus made a proclamation. According to whose time? Yehuda. And America has been in reign and in control for 400 years, according to whose time? Yehuda. And what did Yahweh say would be the ending or the finale of your captivity. Since your history, which is black history, and even the scriptures' history is the true measure of time, well, your history in Genesis, back in the 15th chapter, your history is the true world history. All these nations, they're on your time. How many numbers is on their clock? 12. How many hours is in their day? 12. What are they measuring things by? 12. And 12 is the 12 tribes of Israel. This is the boundaries of all nations. So our history is black history, is world history, is the only history that matters. You think the reign of America is based on America's strength? Yahweh ruleth in the kingdom of men. The reign of America is based on their rulership that they've been given to hold Israel in captivity. And in Genesis, the 15th chapter, again, the 13th verse says, and he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward they shall come out with great substance. And what you think Yahweh's going to do? Smack America on the back? No, he's going to bring them down. And then we're going to come out. After what? 400 years. That's their reign. Their reign is based on their rulership, their overlording, being a overseer of Yehudah. Yahweh has placed them there. They're just serving a sentence just like you. And their sentence has an end, and our sentence has an end. In all these times, in all this history, can be found in the Holy Scriptures. And just to give you another clue into Yah's history and how it is perfect, as I mentioned, the fourth generation of our captivity was between 1739 and 1779. Well, the fifth generation, of course, would have been between 1779 and 1819, I believe. And the sixth generation would have been between 1819 and 1839. Well, the seventh generation would have been between 1839 and 1879. And why is that significant? Because within the seventh generation of our captivity, and what is seven? Yah's rest.
10 seconds.
The black people in America had a proclamation issued to them from the king of Babylon of this time, Abraham Lincoln. He proclaimed that black people could be free from forced slavery. They got a little bit of rest. They got a little bit of rest, a little bit of mercy. You've never been a chattel slave, so you don't know the rest that they got. But when you got black people dying on average at 35 years old, during the time of chattel slavery, and then after that age limit went grossly higher, you know they got a little bit of rest. We got a little bit of rest. I'm 38 now. I would be an old man during the time of chattel slavery, which lets you know you got a little bit of rest in the 7th generation. And the last thing is Yahweh's law teaches us history, black history, 360 days a year. They say it's 365 black, but it's really 360 black. Because Yahweh said there's only 12 months in a year. And what's the year according to? The number of Israel. That's in the book of 1 Chronicles, the 27th chapter, first verse. Now the children of Israel, after their number to wit, after their number, the chief fathers of captains of thousands and of hundreds, and their officers that served in the king, any manner of the courses which came in and went out month by month throughout all the months of the year, every course were 20 and 4,000. And how many did they have? 12. You could read that up to the 15th verse. And King Solomon had 12 officers to sit at his table for every month of the year. And how many days in a month? 30. Times 12. It's 360. And the only history you have that makes sense, that matters, that can give you accurate, balanced, perfect dates and times is black history. 360 black. Yah is black. His people are black. His angels are black. Yah made day and night. He made time. Your history is based on Yah's time. Israel's history is holy. Biblical history is true history. And it's only 360 days in this year. And it's every day a historical black moment for the children of Israel. And praise be to the mighty Yah. And until tomorrow, Yahweh loves you very much, and so do we at the house of Israel. Hallelujah and shalom.
Listen to your Elohim. Got yourself put on straight. You can hear Yahweh scream. Wake up, Jacob. Jacob.
I say your last for that day is great, for there was none like it. The one that speak great words against Yahweh will be indicted. The wicked will be convicted. Soon they will face their sentence. The righteous won't leave upon this. Yah's elect known as a remedy. Put the blade up to the children of Lucifer. Cool they top, take the lights out their bodies like I'm trying to squeeze juice from them. Full of nooses, abuse, and all they take it from we. The dance they little ones.